Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. In today's video, I'll be passing judgment as we rank the best men's dress shoes in the range from $200 to $500 US. If you're a regular on the channel, you've probably already seen our shirt ranking and suit ranking video, and we even covered best dress shoes under $300. We also had a ranking video for best men's dress shoes above $500, and you guys told us, hey, we wanted to see something in a lower pricing bracket, and so we obliged. So, don't say we don't listen to you.
They also said to do the video in your underwear.
Well, we'll listen to you when it doesn't get us demonetized. So these rankings come from the combined experience of the members here at Gentleman's Gazette. So yes, everything is subjective, but it's backed by years of experience in the field. We rank the shoes based on overall style, quality, workmanship, and price. Some brands have distinct product lines, some are more expensive than others, but for a ranking, we look at the price range of $200 to $500. And no, we're not talking about vintage shoes, we're talking about shoes you can buy today. And we look at the retail price, not the used or secondary market. And just like in our other videos, we'll use a school grading system with A being the top choice and F the worst. Also, it's very important to say that no shoe brand paid us to say anything here. So everything we say about shoes, our ranking, our grades, is 100% our own unfiltered opinion. We do have a sponsor though for today's video, and that is the watch brand Nomos Glashütte from Germany. When Nomos approached us about a collab, we didn't have to think twice and said, of course. In case you're not familiar with the brand, Nomos Glashütte is the creator of the iconic Tangente watch. Yes, I'm German, so I pronounce it correctly. Tangente means tangent in English, and Nomos sent us the Tangente Pneumatic Blue Gold in a 39mm case, and that's tangentially related to shoes in the way of cordovan leather, because their strap uses the same Horween cordovan leather as most renowned cordovan shoemakers use. Now, as we said before, in our 18 things every gentleman should have video, a pair of black Oxfords and a serious watch are must-haves. I mean, just look at it. That classic coin shape will never go out of style. Also, the linear typography, paired with the very slim DUW 3001 automatic movement, makes this watch very versatile. If you upgrade from the stainless steel back to a sapphire crystal back, you can even see the automatic movement in action, which is oddly satisfying to watch. No matter if you wear it for a black tie event with a tuxedo, with a suit for a business event, or a more casual combination, the Nomos Tangente Pneumatic Blue Gold will always feel right at home. And with a black leather strap, silver and blue gold color scheme, you can even pair it with a more casual outfit. Obviously, you never want to take a watch with a leather strap for a swim, but it's very comforting to know that you could if you had to. Frankly though, all specs aside, personally, my favorite feature of this watch is the blue gold dial. To learn more about the Nomos watch lineup, check out their website linked in the description below. And now, let's rank some shoe brands. 47 to be exact. First up, we have Ace Marks. They have overall classic, nice fitting, pleasing lasts at a fair price point. Their shoes are like rapid constructions, which means they don't have a long break-in period, but they're also a little less comfortable to walk in all day. Overall, we rank them a B-, which is maybe slightly different than our previous video, just because we've had more exposure to other brands, they're more competitors now, and Eb noted some foot pain, so did I when I walked in them for a long amount of time. Edmonds, a staple American men's dress shoe brand that recently got acquired and upped their pricing, is now running more sales. If you ask me, it's more of a peasant catchery. So big question, did the quality change? A lot of people say they're more seconds and quality control isn't high. We cut open 4 shoes in our video to determine if something really changed. You can check it out here. While I appreciate this brand for often being the first quality dress shoe a man buys, I'm personally not in love with their lasts. I find them a bit chunky. As a team, we grade them as a C. Personally, I'm more inclined to say C-. Armin Oehler is an American shoe brand founded by a German native whose family has deep roots in the leather business. Because of that, all their leathers are top-notch, high-quality calf leathers, not less expensive cowhide. I have a pair of chukka boots from them in a very nice waterproof suede. It's Goodyear welted, it has an attractive last, and the leather is the best suede I've probably had so far. My pair was Goodyear welted in Asia, not sure where they produce these days. At the price point, the competition is very steep, so I'd rank them a C. Aurélien is an interesting Dutch brand that offers boots, soft suede loafers, and driving mocs. Frankly, I haven't worn them myself, but Nathan, our team, has, and he's a connoisseur of small, quality-focused micro brands. At first glance, their prices seem high for soft suede loafers, but at closer look, they look very similar to the Loro Piana summer walks, which cost over $1,000. What's nice is that they offer lots of color choices. Nathan grades it as a B, and he's generally a bit more generous than I am. Barker is a British manufacturer of Goodyear welted shoes, which is similar in make and quality to Loke. Overall, they're an okay starter men's dress shoe. They also have a handcrafted line, which is more expensive, but at that price point, you're probably better off with going with different brands such as Carmina or FitzPatrick. Maybe Cheney, and of course a few others if you stay tuned. Overall, we grade them at a C-. Next up is Beckett Simonon, an interesting brand that was started a few years back in Colombia, then they produced in Portugal. Now I think they're back in Colombia. The shoes are Goodyear welted, the leathers are a bit stiffer. I think they're tanned in South America. They don't feel like the highest grade European calf leathers. In line with that, we've noticed color inconsistencies, where the left shoe looks slightly different than the right shoe. Or for example, the tongue is much darker than the uppers, and on an Oxford that's visible and looks weird. Also, there's a long wait for delivery because the cost is so low they produce them in batches. Overall, the leather feels inferior. Preston had some salt blooming on his shoes that he couldn't remove despite trying it in multiple different ways, so he just threw his shoes out. Ever since we made the last video, I never put on my shoes a single time because they're just not comfortable, and I have so many other better options. Mine and Preston's grade is a D. Bridlen is an interesting brand from Japan. On their website, they claim they were started in '86 as an online store. I doubt that. Maybe something got lost in translation there. Because if there's one thing I know is that Japanese typically have very high attention to detail. And that's obvious in their dress shoes. Their shoes are Goodyear welted, they have interesting styles, attractive lasts, and overall very pleasant shoes. The leathers are good and the quality to price ratio is excellent. As a consumer, you might ask, how is it possible that a shoe this good costs so little money? Well, it has to do with the manufacturing. The shoes are made in India. But hey, good things can be produced anywhere in the world. This is just a good value shoe for your money, and our grade is a B+. If you just look at value, you're more like A-. Bruno Magli are thoroughly middle-of-the-road shoes. They have the combination sole, which is a hallmark of not high-end shoes. The lasts are neither clunky nor refined. The materials are decent, and Jack really likes them because their last fits him well. App had issues with squeaking soles and unresponsive customer service. Overall grade is C or C-. Carlos Santos, or Carlos Santos as they say in Portugal, where they're made, produces quality Goodyear welted shoes made of European calf leathers. They're a little more expensive than, let's say, Edmonds, but they're definitely worth it in our book. They also do collabs with other brands like Herring, for example. I visited their factory and brought home a pair of dark olive green Darbies on an elegant last. They also have a hand grade line, which is slightly more expensive, but still within our price range, and definitely worth it. Overall grade is B+, maybe even a little better. Carmina is a nice shoe brand, and we have an in-depth Is It Worth It video, which you can check out on our channel. In a nutshell, they offer lots of styles, Goodyear welted shoes, made in Mallorca by a family-run business. I personally visited the factory in Mallorca years ago, and I can vouch for their quality workmanship. Their customer service is subpar, and you can learn more about it in our other in-depth video. They're definitely more on the expensive side, but you get more options in terms of leathers and lasts. We grade them as a B. Charles Tyrwhitt is known to most people as a purveyor of shirts, and we did a more dedicated video about that here. Jack has a pair with a rubber sole that he wears in the rain. Overall, it's more in the range of Barker or Loke. The lasts aren't anything special, everything's quite safe. Grade is more of a C-, maybe C to D. Cenis is a brand from Singapore that offers not just Goodyear welted shoes, but actually hand-welted shoes at a price that seems mind-bogglingly low. Not only do they have nice lasts, but also unusual styles that you typically find more in the bespoke world, such as butterfly loafers or twist loafers. Because they're hand-welted, they're very comfortable from the start, very little to no break-in, and the leathers they use are very high quality. They have French calfskin, for example. So hand-welted shoes with a fiddleback waist for $350 to $400, that's really incredible. While Nathan graded them a straight A, Preston gave them a B+, but solely for reasons of fit. And as you know, not all lasted shoes work with every foot. They also made a capsule collection with Hugo Jacomet from Parisian Gentlemen and Sartorial Talks, so maybe I should try their shoes too. Cobbler Union is an American brand with a showroom in Atlanta offering made in Spain Goodyear welted shoes. They have decently elegant last shapes and quite a range of shoes as they've been around for a few years. I really like their interior, which is a nice burgundy with a quilt and some padding, but sometimes it colors off on your socks. When they first appeared in the US, they had much less competition and it seemed like an awesome buy. Now, considering there's other brands like Cenis and other options, they're not as attractive anymore to me. Nathan would rather go with Cenis, TLB Mallorca, or J. FitzPatrick. Eb really enjoyed the in-store fitting experience. I have a pair, and I think the B is an appropriate grade. Cole Haan is a well-known brand. They do collabs with Nike, but when it comes to dress shoes, their stuff is just garbage. Nathan even said he wouldn't wear them if they would be given to him for free. Enough said. The grade is an F. Crown Northampton just has chukka boots and sneakers, so we're not ranking them here. Florsheim, what an interesting brand with a rich history. The new models are simply trash, and Nathan grades them an F. Yes, if you find some vintage model from the 60s, they're good quality, but that's not what we're talking about in this video. Preston is the only one on our team who wears their comfort tech line, and he likes them because they are so comfortable. I believe you can go to a cobbler or a shoemaker and put in foam inserts with a sock liner on much more elegant shoes and get a similar kind of comfort feel. If comfort is the only thing you care about, maybe for $200, it's something for you. But for us, grade F, maybe D to F. Grandstone is more focused on boots, but also offers a basic shoe line. We've only had first-hand experience with their boots, but the construction is the same as on their shoes. The boots have been surprisingly durable and shown a good workmanship. They're priced lower than comparable American boots, which makes them rather attractive. Both Chris and Nathan on our team said that the toe box is not very roomy, but they like their boots and rated them a B. Herring Shoes started as a shoe store in 1966, selling quality English footwear. Over time, they also created their own private label, which is not manufactured in their own factory, but in other factories and just private labeled. Sometimes they also have collabs, such as with Carlos Santos. I have a pair from them. I think the quality is decent. They're very value focused, while providing slightly more elegant or modern lasts. Overall, Jack, Nathan, and me all grade them a C+. Hugo Boss, or Hugo Boss, as the German in me would say, is simply a hard no. You can do a lot better than that. It's cheap leather, cheap construction, overpriced, so we grade it as a straight F. See, I told you I'm not biased. Just because it's German doesn't help at all. Idres is an interesting company in the sense that they offer made-to-order shoes that you can customize as you wish at a price in line with other ready-to-wear shoes. They're made in Spain, Goodyear welded on elegant lasts, and our team has experience with the boots, which were all made to order. For example, I got a really beautiful custom patina, and I used a hiker style model, which I think is no longer available, but I really appreciated the difference in look. You can also customize your sole, and they're really flexible on the things that you want that are unique to you. Considering their fair price point, we grade them a B. FitzPatrick is a shoe brand founded by Johnston FitzPatrick, who started as the shoe snob blog, and he has tirelessly put in a lot of effort to educate men about shoes, highlight new brands, and for that I'm really grateful to him. FitzPatrick is his brands of shoes which are Goodyear welted and made in Spain. He sent me a pair years ago, which was an unusual navy blue Oxford's kind of saddle shoe with gray suede, and the last fit me phenomenally well. This kind of French elongated toe shape that was rounded. One thing I really appreciate about FitzPatrick is that the shoes are not run-of-the-mill, but they have a special twist. For example, they have a Spokane, which is a quilted leather Oxford. Another example is the nice marble patina that Justin sent to me. He sometimes also does collabs with other patina artists, so you get very special stuff from him, and he also has a made-to-order program, so you can exactly fine-tune what works for you. FitzPatrick is solid value for the money at a retail price, and it gets even better when they're on sale. I'd say overall a B+ for me. Nathan is even more enthusiastic and would probably rank him an A-. He loves their boots. Me too, by the way, but this is a dress shoe video. Jack Irwin is an interesting brand that offers driving marks in the style of Tots without the high price tag. By the way, if you want to check out if Tots are worth it, we got a video for you. You can buy them on sale fairly easily, and they're overall more daring than like Loke or Morges. Grade C-. J. Butler was founded by Justin Jeffers, who's a fellow men's clothing blogger under the name of Fine Young Gentleman. These days, he doesn't blog much anymore, but he still has the shoe brand. Really, the core of J. Butler is a very value-driven approach to a preppy loafer. What does that mean? Well, you get a true low-vamp loafer with a true moccasin construction. The shoes are made in Mexico, either from cowhide, but he also has ostrich and alligator options, but these are outside of the price range. Nathan calls them the dead ringer for his Gucci loafers without the big price tag. Sadly, my heels are too slim for J. Butler loafers, but to learn more about Justin and his shoes, check out the interview we did on our channel a few years back. Johnston Murphy is another one of those shoe brands that had a big name in the past and that maybe some of our team members wore during high school, but today they're just garbage. Grade F. Now, Joseph Cheney is an English brand of Goodyear welted shoes. I think they used to be under the Church umbrella, which was acquired by Prada. When I was in England the last time, I checked out their store. They have nice, proper English shoes with stiffer leathers and very classic lasts. They're neither too fashion-forward nor too old school. In my experience, they fit rather large, so keep that in mind if you order those shoes online. Jack gives them a B, I more like a C+, maybe B to C. Loke is a UK starter brand for dress shoes similar to Allen Edmonds in the US. The 1880s line has nicer leathers, maybe somewhat more elegant last without being super elegant. They also fit a bit on the larger side. If I would get Loke, I would stick to the 1880s and I would grade them a C. Jack, Nathan, and Preston also ranked them C or C-. The brand of Löf Tung sent a few shoes to our team. They've worn them a little bit, but not long enough to truly come up with a proper grade. Nathan says they have decent suede and nice closed channel stitching. The shoes seem to be on sale quite often, even though many items are out of stock or have low stock. The last shape is more conservative, the leathers are not super exciting, and you don't get this flashy patina. They do have options like pebble grain though. First impression is more in the B range. We'll see where they end up once we wear them for a longer time. One of your shoes that I don't have any personal experience with. Jack has a pair of loafers which are among his most worn pairs. They're Blake stitched, the leather is nice and soft. They have bolder styling, unique patinas, but very thin soles. Nathan said the leather quality is not the best, hence they need the heavy patina. They're on sale all the time, but their retail price is a bit high. Jack calls them a D+, Nathan a D to F at full price, or C- to D+ on sale. Merrin is an interesting company because it was founded and is owned by members of the Albaldejo family, which also owns Carmina. So they use their Spanish shoemaking know-how and make the shoes in China. Because of that, they have a better value proposition. And if you look at their site, they advertise their radical value. They have their main line at a lower price point. They have their Linea Maestro, which is more expensive, hand-welted, and much better. And they have cordovan shoes. They have non-Horween cordovan, which is less expensive, and Horween cordovan, which is more expensive. The mainline shoes take quite a while to break in. They're harder with stiffer leathers. Personally, I really like their Linea Maestro. The last fits me well. They're hand-wilted. The leather are European calf hides and great. You just don't get a large range of shoe styles and colors. Their mainline is more a C+ to B-. Their Linea Maestro is maybe an A to B. Previously, we probably graded them an A-. Now there's more competition out there. Moral Code offers inexpensive Goodyear welted shoes. My loafer is still super stiff, so I've just stopped wearing them because I don't like to break them in. And the top upper leather is also rather stiff and wrinkly. At this price point, you can just see that they had to use 2nd or 3rd grade leather. Back then, I gave them a 3.5 out of 5. Today, I would rather rank them D+, maybe C to D. Morges is a Swedish brand. I think they're more in the Alan Edmonds territory. They sent me a pair of Opera pumps, but it didn't fit me at all. My heel just slipped out of them. Nathan tried to get a pair from them. Also, the sizing didn't quite work out there. So it seems like getting the sizing right there is half the battle. Because of that experience, we can't really grade them. Mirquist is another interesting contender, but sadly, nobody on our team has any experience, so we can't grade them either. Oliver Cabell offers some loafers. Nathan tried their sneakers and quite liked them and graded them a B, but we don't know what their actual dress shoe situation is like. Paul Evans New York was one of those brands that really put quite a bit of money into marketing, and you saw them everywhere on YouTube channels and bloggers a few years back. When in Italy with Blake Rapid Construction, they remind me quite a bit of Ace Marks. If you look at their styles of their Oxfords, their Lasts, their Patinas, they're very similar, but Ace Marks comes in at a lower price point. If you want to compare them to other Italian brands such as Velasca or Scarosso, I would say they're a bit more fashion forward. When they started, not many companies were offering these nice hand-finished patinas, and I think that's where they leaned in on heavily. Today, you can more easily get this kind of a leather look. I think price-wise, you can get better stuff. I would say overall grade is about C, C-, maybe D+ if you consider their pricing. Nathan bought a pair of penny loafers from them, but he found them to be uncomfortable even though they were Blake stitched, and he sold them and had to take a huge loss. But that's always the case when you sell your shoes on eBay. Russell and Bromley are presented as more of a high-quality brand, but Jack believes that they're more like Hugo Boss territory. There's a big focus on fashion rather than quality. The showrooms are set out nicely, but the boutique style doesn't mean that you actually get a quality product. Grade D-. Scarosso were rather early to the online shoe game in Germany. They now have a nice range of different, more casual styles for men. Their Blake, made in Italy, a bit more fashion-forward than Velasca, but otherwise rather similar in my book. Overall, their shoes are a lot softer. The heel and toe reinforcements are not like the British ones. I like their woven leather loafers, especially in the summer. Because they're Blake stitched, they're not too comfortable for walking in them all day. They've definitely seen more competition since the last video, where we ranked them a bit more highly. I think now they're more in the C+ range. Septième Largeur is a French brand that I don't have any personal experience with. However, Nathan does. They have really great photography, a nice website, and good customer service. They have a broad selection of shoes and styles and are not afraid to be daring. Nathan has a pair of their loafers and really likes their value proposition. He says in terms of comfort, they're up there with his Carminas, and the suede is really nice and soft. So Nathan grades them a B+. Henry Stevens, or formerly known as Shoe Passion, is an interesting model. It was a German company with Goodyear welted shoes made in Spain that were sold under Shoe Passion. They were quite successful, and then acquired Winkelacker, which was a Goodyear welted shoe company from Hungary. Now they created sub-brands. Shoe Passion is kind of the umbrella company, and the equivalent level, I would now say, is Henry Stevens. Our team got a bunch of Henry Stevens shoes. I still have a few old Shoe Passion shoes. The old Shoe Passion used to have a wider range of styles, including things like a white buckskin Fullbrook Oxford. Now you don't have that anymore. They've definitely turned a bit more fashion forward, but you can still get all the classics from them. Preston grades his Henry Stevens a B. Nathan grades them more C++ territory. I would also put my shoe passions in more the C territory. The Dinkelackers have some nice styles, but are typically more chunky on Budapester lasts with triple soles, and they're also outside the price range, so we're not grading them here. Skolix is a website that offers a range of different shoes, including their own branded Skolix shoes. They sent me a pair of Yonkos, which I'll talk about later, but I don't have any personal experience with them. Preston and Chris like the shoes for their comfort. They're still in the break-in period, but it's going rather well. They're more on the conservative side. They seem to be a rather dependable shoe. Both like the styling. Preston got the dark brown broomed Oxford and Chris got a pebbled grain Derby. Strange Island is definitely a more niche-y, fashion-forward shoe brand. In our old video, I graded them a 1 out of 5, which is probably equivalent of a D. Preston ranked them a 3 out of 5, which is more of a C. To me, everything feels like on the cheaper side, so it's probably more in the D- territory. Suit Supply is, of course, well known for their suits, and we reviewed their suits in this video here. It seems to me that the shoe offering is just a part to complete the look and to give people who are not really into clothing an option to be a one-stop shop. Personally, I've never owned any of their shoes, but Nathan and Jack have. Nathan says their leathers aren't great, but the shoes fit better than their clothing. Why? He believes the shoes fit a wider foot, and because of that, you can fit more people than their suits, which are slim fit. His grade is a C-. The Suit Supply shoes seem to be focused more on a casual end, and Jack really hates the Suit Supply experience, where he feels like he's not a customer, but more of a sales target. Because of that, he grades them D+ to C-. When we look at Taft shoes, back in the day, they still had a few classic options. Today, they've gone away from that spectrum completely, and they're all just fashion forward. I'd say they're not horrible in terms of quality and workmanship, but they're not great either. Definitely a step below Edmonds. Taft shoes are really meant for people who first and foremost care about the bold style of their shoes without breaking the bank. Nathan rates them a D+, Preston rates them a D. I'm right there with them, D to D-. Thursday Boots is another of those popular companies that put a lot of money into marketing and have a big online presence. They also offer dress shoes, which I think are made in Mexico, but we haven't tried them or tested them, so we can't provide any grading, but we'll change that when we do our boot video. TLB Mallorca is an interesting brand made in Spain of Goodyear welted shoes. They have a main collection, a higher elevated Artista line that costs a little more, as well as a Cordovan collection. They've great attention to detail, which reminds us more of higher-end brands like Gaziano Girland, for example. Even though their lasts look quite elegant, our entire team liked how comfortable they were. There's very little price difference between the mainline and the Artista, so go for the Artista. Also, if you have money for Edmonds, you can buy TLB Mallorca, and you'll probably be happier with them. At least everyone on our team would be. That being said at the beginning, it may take a few orders until you find the right lasts and the right fit, but we believe it'll be worth it. I grade them a B+, Nathan gives them an A, Jack also B+, Preston B+, or maybe A-, and Chris an A-. Undandy shoes stand out from the crowd and are similar to Idrese because they offer made-to-order shoes so you can customize a shoe at a lower price point. They offer a range of patinas and different leathers. You can also mix them, so you can have loafers in suede and regular leather, which is nice, but I find their lasts a bit too aggressive. Personally, we had no issues with our customer service, but some of our readers and viewers have. Your mileage may vary. I think because of the lasts that I don't like as much, I'd more grade them a C-, and Preston is with me there. Velasca is an Italian shoe brand that always reminds me of Scarosso. They're like rapid stitched, their styling is a bit more boring without being chunky. You could also say they're rather classic shoes, but their heel and toe caps are softer, their leathers are softer because they're Blake, there's no break-in period, and they're kind of comfortable out of the box. Back in the day, I gave him a 4 out of 5 ranking, and Preston also ranks him a B. I think considering the competition and their price point, I would rank him more a C+ these days. Janko is an interesting shoe brand that's actually also from Mallorca. They're priced relatively low, and I remember in the early 2000s buying a pair of Janko shoes which had very thick soles, they were Budapesters, the upper leather was very stiff, and I was never able to break them in and eventually just sold them. So I was super surprised when I received a pair from Skolix, and it was actually on a very pleasant last, and it was super comfortable. I like the styling, I like the details. I think at that price point, you get a nice shoe out of a nice leather and a good styling. So my ranking is a B-. Last but definitely not least, we have Yearn, which is a brand made in China, more specifically in Chengdu. And I went to that city at one point in time as a tourist, but I didn't know about the shoes then. I didn't even know they existed. Anyhow, those shoes are hand-lasted, hand-welted, and hand-stitched, all under $500. Mind-boggling. On top of that, they use European calfskins, and their shoes look amazing. Readers and friends tell us the shoes are comfortable right out of the box, which is not surprising considering they're hand-welted, not Goodyear welted. The prices seem super low for what they offer, but again, cheaper labor costs help to get you to that price point. They also have a made-to-order option for just $50 more. Sadly, nobody on our team had a chance to try these shoes in person because they seem like a strong grade A contender. I definitely want to get my hands on them because it seems almost too good to be true. Obviously, the stigma of made in China equals inferiority is no longer true. There's also the brand Acme, which is another Chinese shoe brand at a higher price point, which also produces stunning stuff. And it's just great to see that China is now also pumping out such high quality men's shoes. Of course, since we haven't had first-hand experience, we can't really provide a grade at this point. In today's video, I'm wearing a combination that is built around my Nomos Tangente Pneumatic blue gold watch in 39mm. It consists of a Fort Belvedere prototype blazer in an interesting English kind of hopsack style cloth. I'm wearing a bold blue and white striped shirt from Spear & McKay. The pocket square and boutonniere are both from Fort Belvedere. They're linen and in the color scheme of blue and white. The Nomos Tangente has of course that nice blue gold dial, so it harmonizes really well with all the other things in my outfit, including my pinky ring with a blue star sapphire. My pants are from Tom James in a black and white houndstooth pattern with a 2-inch cuff. My socks are black and white shadow stripes from Fort Belvedere, and I'm pairing them with a black pair of Capto Oxfords from Ace Marks. My fragrance is the Marzocco from Roberto Ugolini, which is a bespoke shoemaker in Italy, so the flacon has a leather label and a horn cap. It contains 20% of oils, which makes it an eau de parfum, and it's very strong and long-lasting.